It's always been that way for me. Always been a get better mentality every day, grow every day, be a better leader every day, be a better quarterback every day. And when that wrench do, I don't plan on missing no payments. So.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to 3 in the Keystone, episode 86. It's myself and Chris Guest, just like the old days.
Cheers, my friend.
Cheers to that. Al Ryan, what do you think, Chris? You're the teacher. Excused absence, unexcused absence. What do we grade him with tonight?
Well, he did give us a heads up early in advance, so we'll give him the pass. We'll give him the excused. But, young Mr. Ryan needs to know his limitations.
Yeah, so just to let the inside scoop, Mr. Al was at a bachelor party this weekend down in New Orleans. Actually got home at midnight last night, but was still marked as inactive due to he blamed it on a lost voice. But I think we know we've had some discussions about things that suck when you get old, and I think the recovery time from a bachelor party may be case in point what's going on here.
Yeah, very possible.
Ern Ivanone is in the chat tonight, though. What up, Ern? He's not sitting out tonight.
No, he's we got our short for we got to come up with a name for our fan base.
Yeah, what do you think?
Like the Swifties and the Rihanna's Navy and all these. We got to come up with a name for the 3K podcast fans.
Yeah, if anybody's in the chat has a good name for the fan base, you hit us up. We'll do some brainstorming on the side for it.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, episode 86 tonight. Chris, you know what that means.
You're going to say something that's not going to be the right person. So go ahead. Todd Heath.
Yeah, how about that Fred Barnett?
So the obvious would be Ertz.
Yeah.
But I was waiting for you to say Todd Heap or I didn't think about Fred Barnett. But
Todd
so that
Heap.
game, I watched I think I told you guys a few weeks ago, I was watching the 90, was it 95, I guess, or 96 wild card round with the Lions Eagles.
Yeah.
And Barnett was a stud.
Barnett had a couple good years. I was on his football reference page today.
Dude, he was a clear WR1 on that team.
Yeah. Him and Calvin Williams in the early 90s, dude.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. We'll do a little cleanup before we jump into our show tonight. What do I have for announcements? First and foremost, even though Al was not coming out tonight, he did want us to share that his son Jackson was named team MVP as the Grizzlies won the title this weekend. Al wasn't there to support his son. He was in New Orleans. But Jackson had 12 points in the championship game. So, Chris, my question to you is, do you think Al ever had 12 points in an organized basketball game?
Well, I was going to say he already had more in his pot, especially in a championship game. He's already got 12 more points than his dad ever had in a championship game.
I can't imagine Al scoring 12 in an organized basketball game or a non-organized basketball game for that sense.
You know what? Who knows? You never know. He might have. But shout out, hey, that's at that age, man, that's an awesome thing. He's probably the star of the class. He feels good. Good vibe, man.
And I think I've seen some Instagram highlights, Chris. I think he's a southpaw. Hey,
we're the best. We're 10% of the world is southpaws. We got to stick together, man.
Yeah,
my fellow lefty brethren.
Listen, I want to take this offline, but I'm open to trying to find a recreational basketball league.
Dude, oh my God. I've been saying that since I never wanted to. I retired because everybody else stopped. I got plenty of games left in me. It might not be good games.
Yeah. We're not trying to win at this point. We're just
trying to have something to do.
Yeah. We got to look into that, I think.
Yeah, I mean, even like basketball, football. I can't do softball.
No. I'm not doing football anymore.
Well, I can't do softball, so we're at an impasse with that.
But
I would do basketball.
Best cardio.
Yeah, I would do basketball. And we need like 5 or 6 dudes. I don't need a whole squad where
no, because people you got kids now. We need at least 8. At least 8.
Oh, yeah, you're right about that. That is true. Yeah, I say that until we're like 3 minutes into the game and I'm gassed.
Yeah. We'll take it offline.
And that's being in shape still, but there's being in shape and then there's game shape.
Yeah, 100%. I don't know. I couldn't play that much. So we'll take it offline and we'll do. It'd be really nice if we could find like a 35 and older league or something like that. That would be really nice.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, let's clean up the other stuff before we bore everybody. I do want to say we ran the NCAA or not NCAA NFL playoff pool in January. It was a big success. We're going to be doing something for March Madness. I'm going to reveal that next week since we'll actually be in March. But stay tuned to that for that if you're in that case. And just shout out for our social media. Again, we've been pushing it the last few weeks. Follow us on Twitter, follow us on Instagram at 3K Podcast, at 3K_podcast. Putting out some good stuff on there. And it helps us as well. And follow us on YouTube and subscribe and share and all that good stuff. More happy to provide you as much content as possible. Ern says the nickname should be the Diehards. I think we can do a little better than that, Ern.
Yeah, it's a little generic. That's but good effort. We appreciate it. We keep going though. Figure it out,
Chris. It is as we put in the title of this episode. We are in the dog days of February. If you ask me, for my opinion, it's probably the worst time of year for sports.
And it's a leap year at that. So we got one extra day of this crap.
Do you know why there's leap years as a teacher?
Isn't it first of all, I'm not a science teacher, but isn't it because of the rotation around the moon or the sun or something?
Yeah, so you're close. So I'll drop a little knowledge for everybody out there who doesn't know. So the thought is that it takes 365 days for the Earth to revolve around the sun.
Right.
But in actuality, it takes 365 days and 6 hours. So every 4 years, they have to make up for that 6 hours to keep us on the right time frame. So they add an extra day every four years to make up for that extra 6 hours that it takes to get around the sun.
Well, maybe we DM Neil deGrasse Tyson, get him to come on to the show and explain it.
Oh, maybe we'll save that one for next week. But again, dog days are here. And it certainly is in the Philadelphia sports. But we'll start with I want to talk some Sixers. And I want to get into some Phillies spring training stuff as well in the first segment tonight. Sixers come out of the All-Star break with losses to the Knicks and the Bucks. They sandwiched that with a win against Cleveland. Certainly looks like a lost night as they're battling Boston, but down about 10 in the third quarter. They're now 33-24, and they are 4-11 in their last 15 games. Obviously, they've been through a tough stretch of their schedule here, but it does not get much easier in March, as including tonight here, Chris. Here are some of the games they have for the rest of next month. At Boston, which is obviously tonight, they have to go to Dallas. They get the Pelicans at home. They have to play the Knicks twice on the road. At Milwaukee, Miami at home, at Phoenix, at the Lakers, Clippers twice, at Sacramento, and at Cleveland. All probably without Joel Embiid.
Well, at least we know we'll beat Cleveland in that group.
Yeah, we do seem to have their number.
That's all we can beat, apparently.
At what point do we have to start worrying about this team falling out of the top 6 and into a play-in spot?
Well, I'll tell you how worried I am. I'll be honest. I was watching more of the Flyers Lightning game upstairs than I was this Sixers Celtics game. I have to admit, I'm flyered up. I told you guys the other day without Joel in this court. I'm flyered up. So it's
Aren't
tough.
they struggling too?
Yeah, but they back to back. They played the Rangers, who, by the way, the Rangers fans invaded First Union. Oh my God, Wells Fargo Center on Saturday. And then they played they fought hard on Sunday in Pittsburgh. They were down 2 goals twice or 3 times, and they fought back each time, and they lost 7-6. The goalie that they had playing Sunday was awful. But anyway, the Sixers. What happened? Like, honestly, this team went. If you listen to our shows earlier in the year, I'm pretty sure we had some times where we were saying how they're fun to watch and this and that. And now you can't. They're awful. It's awful to watch. Tobias Harris is, for my money, one step away from being with me being cool to just cut him at this point. Like, he's almost unplayable. He's not locked in mentally. He's clearly not right physically. He can't make a shot at the rim from 3, anywhere on the court where you locked in and know that he's going to be able to be dependable offensively. He's tough to watch. Oubre not passing the ball to anybody is tough to watch. Maxey trying to do it all, even though he's not a number 1 guy on a good team, is tough to watch. No center is tough to watch. Nobody that can rebound is tough to watch. Nobody that can lock up a guy on defense is tough to watch. So they're in a bad spot, and that schedule's not doing them any favors. I'm kind of venting. I'm in a venting mood tonight, Seltzer. I got to be honest with you. not just with them in general. I'm in a venting kind of mood. But what was the original question? Because I forgot what I went on the whole tirade.
The question was, at what point do we worry about them falling out of the top 6 and having to play in the play-in?
So it's frustrating because they're like 2 games from like the 3 spot, but then they're also 2 games from being in the play-in. So
I think you can forget about the 3 spot.
I'm just saying. So the East is really tough right now to predict. It's hard to really say when it's time to officially panic because I don't know if anybody's really in panic mode with this team this year, knowing that Embiid's not playing. I think that people are just kind of like, this has become a year where it is what it is. So in terms of panic mode, I don't know if there is a panic mode this year, but in terms of being like, all right, you guys might not make it, they're digging the hole. They don't have a foot in it yet, but they're digging it.
Yeah, I think we're going to get into the players, but I think in my eyes, the way I look at it, they're going to be in the play-in. I don't see a way around it at this point. Just for you guys who are not sure how the standings, right now they're in the 5th spot. They're a game up on Indiana and Miami. So they're a game up on both of those guys.
Miami's coming like they always do.
6th and 7th spot. And they're only a game and a half up on Orlando, who's in the 8th spot. I think they're safe from dropping below that because it's like I think they're 5 or 6 up on Atlanta and Chicago. So I think at anything it'll be a 7 or an 8 seed, and that's assuming they don't get it together. But I don't see a world, and you know what? I also don't think it's the end of the world. Again, like you said, Chris, I think the expectations of this team at this point are whatever happens, happens. And in the event that Joel does come back and is any sort of himself, I think the number one goal is, again, I don't know if they're getting out of the second round, but they're not getting out of the second round if they see Boston. So being in that 4 or 5 is not where you want to be. So they want to be 6 or 7 at the end of the day. And if you get Cleveland, it's a blessing.
Yeah, it's just it's hard to watch. It's hard to talk about. They're just it's again, as a season ticket holder, someone that's financially invested as well as emotionally invested. It's hard, man, because I keep contemplating, is this when I'm finally going to give up my tickets? And they reel me back in with something. And right now I'm looking in the future and I don't know what they're going to use to reel people like me in. I really don't. And I'm not the only one. I mean, there's a lot of people that we know that go down there that are in the same boat right now where they haven't been to games. They're selling their tickets. And they're on the fringe of just giving them up because I don't know what the future holds for this team. We know Maxey will be here.
Well, yeah. Well, one of 2 things is going to happen, Chris. In the offseason, it's going to be a whole new team because they only have 2 guys under contract at this point coming into the season. So you're either going to be excited by the moves they made in the offseason or they're going to completely flame out and then you're probably do give up your seats. But, they're going to do something this offseason to try and bring you back.
Well, I'll tell you.
Again, it's going to be a whole new squad.
Paul George ain't the answer. So if that's the goal, and I'm not saying I don't like Paul George. He's a nice player, but I can't trust him to be healthy either. He's also getting older. And is it a good fit? Yeah, it's a good fit. But currently, as far as thinking about if he jumped onto this roster right now, it'd be a really good fit. But, it's hard when I don't know what the rest of the team would look like. And I know we have a lot of money to spend, but I just don't know what the resources are going to be, how they're going to be used this offseason because you're going to have to build a team. Like we might have money, but we're going to have to build a team.
Yeah, I think it's going to be more of a trade than it is a free agent because again, the free agency class is not
great. Traded for.
Listen, there's going to be guys, especially with the new CBA, there's going to be teams that are up against that second apron that are going to be looking to move guys, I think, more than you think. Again, if Cleveland flames out in the first round, does Donovan Mitchell ask for a trade?
Well, Mitchell, if you remember, actually, I believe it's been 2 years at this point where he's been at Sixers playoff games as a fan, which was strange to me. I don't know if he's got a female caller here or what, but that's been kind of weird. So I don't know. Maybe he might have a connection or connections here and whatever. But yeah, the fit with him and Maxey is, I guess it will be okay because it's just like how he has with Garland now. But Maxey obviously is better than Garland. But
yeah, and Mitchell's just a pure scorer.
Yeah, but we talked before about Maxey not being a pure point guard.
Right, but I think
So
Mitchell they can supplement each
just
other.
gonna combo off of each other.
I think they can work with each other.
Yeah.
I want to get back to this, what's going on right now, a little bit more than the offseason, because we'll have plenty of time to talk about it.
Yeah.
Tobias Harris is a name that you brought up. And listen, I said this. I've been a Tobias defender over the past few years, but what I'm seeing right now is a disaster.
He
His
looks like a guy
effort
that
is
knows
not
it's the end of
there.
the road.
What'd you say?
He looks like a guy that knows it's the end of the road for him.
His effort is not there. He's not rebounding. He's not scoring. And this is a guy who, even if this team's in the tank, should be playing for it. He's playing for another contract. It's probably not with the Sixers, but it's going to be with somebody else.
Does he already have a
And
promise with somebody?
if he is not careful, I'm telling you right now, he's going to get Kelly Oubre. And what I mean by that is he's going to be taking a veteran minimum next year.
Well,
opposed to getting, I think he probably thinks he's getting $17 million next year from somebody.
You think he's got a promise already?
No. But I think in his head, I think there's a better chance he gets the minimum than he gets more than 20 at this point. Again, teams don't have the money.
Well, I don't think he would get either one. I think he'll be probably I think that range of what you said is perfect. I think like around between 16 and 18 million, I think is where he fits in. And somebody will give it to him. Somebody will give it to him. Oklahoma City or Detroit or Orlando. Somebody will give it to him.
Diversa in the chat says Morey's going to hit us with 2 years, $40 million for Tobias, and he'll jump off the Walt Whitman. Just for some stats for you, Chris, for the month of February, he's shooting 23.8% from three, down to 34% for the season, which is well below league average and well below his own average. His scoring, which should go up with Joel out, has gone from 19 points per game in January to 15 in February, and the effort just hasn't been here. This team, from the right now that they've gotten Batum back from injury, unfortunately, D'Anthony Melton has gotten hurt again tonight, so I don't know what his story is.
I didn't see that.
They just said he's not returning with back spasms. But the bench unit is better than the starting unit, because the starting unit
wait a minute. We don't even know. They kind of blend together. Who's on the bench and who's on the starters?
What I'm saying is the Tobias Harris, Kelly Oubre front line, the ball just sticks. And when they pass the ball to one of those guys, everything stops. To me, they had the second unit out there tonight, which was Lowry, Maxey, Batum, Melton, and I don't remember who was playing the five at the time. But that unit was moving the basketball. And listen, the one thing that I've noticed the most from, they obviously acquire Kyle Lowry. And we'll be honest, Chris, I know you're not a Lowry guy. And he's at the back end of his career. He doesn't have the legs or the game he used to. But if you watch him on the basketball court, he always knows what he's doing before he has the basketball. Defensively, he's always in the right spots. And the other guys on the team just aren't like that.
Well, and let me just add, because you're right, I'm not a big Lowry fan, but I will say he's done what they've asked him to do. And I also think he should be starting on this team right now as a point guard next to Maxey. I think that at this point, he's not going to give you a boost off the bench. So I think what you need to do is get defense, get toughness, and get ball handling from him in your starting rotation and put him next to Tyrese as your backcourt. Is it small? Yeah. But at the same time, anyone's going to be small. Buddy Hield.
Let's talk Buddy. I want to talk Buddy.
Yeah, he's not doing himself any favors either, talking about contracts coming up. This guy is him and Tobias are the same dude, except the one's a guard, one's not. One's a forward. He disappears when he doesn't have it going. He has the slowest dribble.
He's so slow.
Like he's the guy. You know what he reminds me of? He reminds me of me, actually. He reminds me of I like dribbling to go to nowhere. He's like you can do a move and then the guys are still in front of you defending you. Like, what else you got? He doesn't go anywhere. He's a little bit better than we thought in terms of, which we mentioned before, playmaking. But that's when he's locked into the game.
Yeah, and like
if he's not locked into the game,
playmaking games were against the Wizards and somebody else.
Correct, and against exactly. So against good teams, he's shown. I can't trust him.
Do you know what Buddy Hield's career playoff high is in points?
7.
Try 0. He's never played in a playoff game.
I was thinking about that. I thought that.
He's been he has the most games played of any active NBA player without playing in the playoffs. These are the guys that we're adding now on this team.
And that's a great segue, Seltzer, because I was about to tell you next. this team has, except for Lowry, they don't have any winners on this team.
No
Who do you
winners.
trust in a playoff series that you can say, well, we got this guy or that guy, and they're going to bring toughness and they're going to bring energy and they're going to be, they played a great series before against this team, that team. None of these dudes have done anything in postseasons where it's warranted to think that they're going to be able to be trusted.
Correct. I do think Tyrese has winner in him.
Oh no, he does. But see, here's the thing. There's people that have a winning mentality and then people who are winners.
Right.
Tyrese has not been a winner yet. He has a dog in him. He has a winning mentality, but he hasn't won anything yet. And he's definitely not going to win anything as a top dog on your team. Like it's just not playoff team like Boston. You put him or the Knicks, make him the number one guy. They're going to eat him alive. And that's not to say that he's not good. It's just to say that that's not him. We shouldn't expect him to do that. He's a number two option, a great number two option.
But the number one's
he's not a number one guy on a winning team.
Hurt.
Right, I know. So if you want to be a team that's going to be a 7 and 8 seed or whatever, and you just want to go to the games and hang out and watch one dude play basketball like it was with Iverson back in the day before he got traded, then Tyrese Maxey can be your number one guy. But if you want to win something or go somewhere and be productive, he can't be your number one. Not at least not right now. Maybe in 2-3 years he'll continue to develop and be that guy. But right now he's not. I would not trust him in the playoffs to be your number one option.
And I heard, and again, when we talk about winners and stuff that happens, Kyle Lowry's first game with the team was against the Knicks. And somebody said after the game, Kyle Lowry on the defensive side of the ball was calling out every play the Knicks were going to run.
Right.
That's the kind of stuff that the Sixers don't have. And tonight, he came in the game, and I know, listen, Reed has played terrible, and I don't want him to get into that, but Bamba's been – Kyle Lowry has to tell Mo Bamba what the play is and where he needs to go. He's been here for 2 weeks.
Yeah. No, I agree. I saw earlier before I came down here, there was a play where I think it was Lowry actually. Bamba set a pick for him at the sideline. Where's he going to go? Like, what's he going to do? A pick and roll to the first row? Where is he going?
It's so bad. It's so bad.
And it clogged it up because Lowry took the pick, but he couldn't do anything with it once he got there. And then Bamba didn't cut to the basket because he couldn't. There was no space. So it clogged it up. So that kind of stuff is just frustrating to watch, man. I'm so disappointed in Buddy. I thought that it would he would, and maybe it's because Embiid's not. Maybe we'll get the full potential of him still with Embiid being able to create space for these guys.
Buddy was brought here to play off of Joel. I'll give him that.
Right,
but he can't get an open look.
No,
he can't get any separation.
He's not at all. Off the dribble, on the dribble, he's very easily guarded.
Yeah,
and you've been saying that for a long time that this team is so easily, it's easy to coach against these guys and guard these guys, and guys like Buddy aren't making that any better.
They need to keep playing. As I'm watching now, they need to Ricky Council needs to play. Like Ricky Council brings some energy off the bounce. I'm not saying he's got to play 35 minutes a game. That's probably too much.
No.
But he needs, if Tobias is playing, he needs to get 10 minutes of Tobias Harris minutes.
Yeah,
10 extra minutes.
I don't disagree with that. He's got dog in him.
Yeah, he plays hard. He's got a good motor. I was just curious. Do you watch spring training? How much will you watch? Is there anything that you're looking for? Or are you just waiting for the regular season to start?
So I watched in the very beginning. So I watched some this weekend. And now that if the game was on and I was available to watch it right now, I'd probably still check in. But like by next week and a few weeks after that, I'll catch a box score. But I'm really intrigued by Merrifield, where he fits in, because I think he's going to play more than people think, and I think he should play more than people. I think he's going to be a really good player for this team. I think that the city's going to love watching him play. And I'm intrigued by Mick Abel to see where he's at with his development. He looked really good the other night. Someone had said on Twitter that he reminded him of Roy Oswalt.
I saw that.
Which I can see after I looked at him and watched a couple highlights of it. I watched him when he was actually in the game, and he looked really good. I didn't think about Oswalt, but now that after I've seen that, I went back, and he does have some shades of him. But Nola, seeing where Nola, how he bounces back, seeing how Dominguez bounces back. Trey, how he bounces back this year to see if he can be consistent.
But I don't think that's anything you're gonna know in spring training.
No, but
and I think that's the beauty. I think that's the beauty of this team is pretty much everything is clear cut. There's not guys really fighting for roles at this point in time. I mean, the rotation is set. The starting lineup is pretty much set. And Merrifield's going to be that extra guy. I think the one spot that I'm curious to see what happens with is probably that last spot on the bench, because to me, Pache is the better player, but they don't have a left-handed bat off the bench. So it's Pache and Cave, I think, pretty much fighting for that last roster spot.
Cave looks like a history teacher that's playing baseball.
Who?
Jake Cave.
Yeah, I'm not a history
Cave teacher
guy.
that's playing baseball. He's okay. He'll have a game or two a year where you're just like, whoa, he killed it. But I mean, we can. Is he better than what's my man's name from back in the day? Dobbs?
Dobbs? No, Dobbs is way better.
Yeah, okay, I agree. I wanted to make sure we were on the same page.
Not close. All right, here's three things. Would you rather watch a spring training game or the NFL Combine?
No, spring training.
Yeah, me too. Spring training game or the Flyers?
Right now, the Flyers. I've been watching the Flyers.
I just got a text from three of the Keystone fans says we need to talk more Flyers and
I'm in. Give me about a week or two. I'll get these dudes in locked in on their names and stuff. I'll be there with you.
I can send them to another podcast that we used to affiliate with. That type of stuff. Last one: spring training game or a mid-major conference tournament game.
Depends on what the conference is.
Let's say the Mountain West. No, let's say Missouri Valley.
Missouri Valley, I might check out. Mountain West, I wouldn't. I watched the spring training.
All right, so that was all I had. Like I said, for me, spring training, like it does kind of make you feel like the warmth of spring is here, and it's always good to watch in the beginning. I'll always check the box score, but I don't really watch a ton of it.
And listen, it's been 60 degrees the last 2 days. It's got that feel, and of course, we're going to probably get bit with cold again, but yeah, it does have that little spring feel to it, so we always can embrace that for however long it lasts. One thing I want to add: do you think have you heard any update on Painter?
I read that his quote was that he wants to be on a mound this year at some point.
Okay,
so I don't think he's going to be on I don't think he pitches for the Phillies this year.
I think want to be on the Phillies right now.
I think he'll end up throwing maybe in the minors towards the end of the year is probably my guess.
Okay.
Sixers, we'll go to segment 2. Sixers have cut it to 2 with 9 minutes to go here.
And look, I hate bashing the Sixers. That's like it's like bashing a family member. Like, I don't enjoy it. I love that team. I love the organization. But we're not blind. I mean, we see what it is.
Listen, we keep it real here on the 3K.
And speaking of podcasts, did you see or hear about what Beverly said in terms of Embiid's injury?
I'm out on Beverly. He's a pandering. He's a pandering little shit. Just like I knew he was the whole time. You want to talk about a rat?
He did get rat. First of all, they traded him for Payne and a pick, and then they didn't even play Payne the last 2 games a lot.
Payne
what are they even doing?
Threes here. Payne's making some moves,
and I like Payne, but I mean,
they really traded him because they were going to upgrade that Lowry spot. They knew they were getting Lowry.
Yeah, that toughness, man. Though, I mean, I'd be
Lowry replaced
Lowry and Beverly for all.
Yeah,
I mean, at that point,
that may be too much.
I told you that junkyard dog backcourt we could have had with Lowry and Beverly at some points.
Yeah, but they got a second. I mean, I listen. I don't think Pat Beverly's moving the needle from what we have on this team either. So, I think he says stuff to make himself feel better sometimes.
Well, I know basically what I was insinuating or pointing to was when he said about Embiid's injury and how he basically told Embiid that he thought he shouldn't play at all with that knee the way it was, and how they were spraying numbing agents on his knee during the game, and how he had never seen nothing like that before. And how, he basically was, I couldn't tell if he was saying Joel said this or if that was just the assumption of Joel playing against the bad teams to get to the 65 game threshold or whatever, 66 game threshold for the MVP and the awards, But here's my thing, and I know we got to go to other stuff. I'm tired of hearing people say that, and you said this before, that makes him mentally soft. If you've got millions of dollars on the table, if you qualify for these awards and you're capable of getting those awards, why would you not play through that stuff and take to heart when people call you injury prone and this and that, when you got money on the table above everything?
Well,
Why would you not play? Why would you not play through that?
I understand your point, and I got no problem with that. My argument is that all he talks about after he won MVP was that stuff doesn't matter anymore, and all that matters is the playoffs. Listen, I mean, you can talk about millions all you want. Joel just got a $250 million contract. He's got money for his
and he's
kids,
got Under
kids
Armour.
at this point. Like, it's not like he's fighting for – he's not Tyrese Maxey who's fighting for his first contract at this point. He's set. If you want to be that guy who those individual achievements are important to you, I have no issue with that. But don't preach me the bullshit that all that matters is the playoffs and all that matters is being healthy for the playoffs. And you're going to run out there while your knee is shot against the Washington and the Charlottes of the world. When, let's be real, it got to a point where he had 5 games left to miss. There was no way he was getting to 65. He just wasn't.
It's just frustrating. If Jokic had the same situation, he'd be tough as nails and all this kind of stuff. But when Joel tries to play through it, it's like he's playing for a material motive.
And no, listen, Joel's tough. I've never said Joel isn't tough. We've said it's just his body breakdown. There's a difference between injury prone and tough.
Right.
So, I mean, listen, we'll see. I mean, by all accounts today, Woj reported that they're planning to have him come back by the end of March.
Yeah.
We'll see what he's got. He should be fresh.
Hopefully they get her between then and the playoffs.
Yeah, right. All right, let's get to segment 2 tonight. We mentioned the dog days of sports. Not a ton going on, but there's one thing that I wanted to kind of ask you about, and we can kind of spur off of that. There was a little controversy this weekend in college basketball. In the Duke-Wake Forest game, the Wake Forest upsets Duke, and they stormed the court, and they knocked down, I believe it was Kyle Filipowski.
Yeah, who's an
NBA prospect. Knock him down, mild ankle sprain. Didn't turn out to be anything crazy, although it was a little bit more dramatic as typical Duke style is at the end of that game. But it's not the first time this has happened. It was a couple of weeks ago. Caitlin Clark, the most famous Division I basketball player maybe of all time, the number 1 scorer, got ran over as the Iowa team lost in a game. So I wanted to ask you where you stood. Jay Billis came out and was very adamant that storming the court should not happen anymore. So I wanted to ask you, is there time to curb this back? Is there something we could do about storming the court? Where do you stand on it?
Yeah, that's a great question. I'm glad that you wanted to bring this up. So years ago, when myself and my partner had the Hoops Report, and we covered the college basketball games throughout different places, and we had been present for a couple of the court storming games, and we would always say how dangerous it was, especially being in the press area right there, like on the court, and how it's amazing that more players don't get hurt in these situations. And that was 15 years ago at this point. Now that was going on, those conversations, maybe more than that. So this is nothing new to me in terms of feeling like it needs to stop. First of all, what do you get out of it? Especially, and I think football is even worse. Football is more people. It's dangerous. You got these field goal posts. These idiot kids get up there and try to knock down the field. You're damaging your own field. All kind of stuff. Like it's stupid. I understand the passion, but at the same time, it's a dangerous situation, and I don't really, especially nowadays, I don't trust anybody. Like, who's to say anybody has something on them or whatever that could be used as a weapon or anything like that? Because especially at college games, and you've been at college games, I've been to college games, the security is decent at best. At best. All right, especially for students. So those kids can definitely get in. I'm sure they do get in with things they probably shouldn't have. So, like, I think that you eliminate the possibility of a disaster having that. With that being said, short of looking like you're in Bosnia with
Oh,
100 security guards around the court, I don't know how you
right.
stop
How do you do it? Right. All right. So I think you're playing a little bit of the no fun game. So here's my thing, and I'm going to cross both sides of this. I think storming the court is part of being in the college experience. Again, you're 18 to 21.
It's not just college, though.
What?
It's not just college, though. You got high schools that do it. We just
Okay,
saw
but
last night.
it's part of being you're not. It's not. It doesn't happen in the professional game here. Like it's part of the youthful exuberance of being a sports fan.
Right.
And I think that's awesome. I think that's part of it. I don't think that should be removed from the game by any means. Here's my problem, and this is where I'm going to go into my get off my lawn and speak like an old man at this point. I think the problem, Chris, and you mentioned it earlier, is the generational type thing. We talked about it offline. It's not about storming the court and having a great experience. It's about, oh my God, I'm going to post this on social media.
What am I going to do for these views?
And listen,
right.
I don't want to say, have you ever in your life ran so fast that you were just going to fully run into somebody? Like, you don't have to run into these guys. When something like this happens, it's intentional. And that's the problem. Run onto the court, jump up and down and have fun. But I've never ran so fast in my life that I saw a basketball player and had to run into him. And I just don't understand how that happens without it being intentional at that point. So that's
also dangerous. It's also dangerous to the fans because we've seen games before, Seltzer, where when we've gone together where players can get PO'd really quickly and potentially catch a charge by hitting a fan. Whether it's a punch, a push, whatever. So it's equally dangerous and risky for the players as it is for the fans.
I was at a Chestnut Hill playoff game last year and obviously that's a really small gym.
Right.
And there was Chestnut Hill got the win, and there was an argument in the stands between a fan and a player's mom on the other team. And after the game, this dude was 6'4" and came charging into the crowd.
Yeah.
Now nothing happened, but I was standing right there, and my wife was there, and she was pregnant at the time, and it was who the hell knows what's going to happen?
Yeah, and
so
especially in that environment where it's not like an arena. I mean, that's a small place. Anything could have popped off in there. And speaking of security, it's a small D2 school. Security is probably minimal.
Yeah,
it's probably minimal.
They ain't doing nothing.
That's what I'm saying. So you could be in there with all kind of weaponry in there.
Yeah. But I want to ask you about some other traditions in sports. And if you have any other ones, you can feel free to add them. Whether or not you think they're old and played out. Throwing a baseball back onto the field.
Stupid.
You don't like it?
No, I'm saying.
I like throwing the baseball back.
No, it's dumb. What do you, again, you got to look at your cost, or not cost, your benefit analysis here. What are you benefiting, or how are you benefiting from doing this?
If it's a home run from the other team, it's funny. You don't want it.
It's taboo. How many times have we seen that? Now, if it happened once a year and somebody was being a hard ass and did it, then that's funny. But it happens every home run now. We watched, if you can play the Royals and a guy on the Royals hits a home run, we throw it back and we cheer. Come on. It's kind of silly.
Diversity, throw it back.
I mean, I've seen minor league games where they do it. It's who? What are we doing?
All right. What about throwing your hat on the ice after a hat trick?
Also stupid, wasting your own money.
Yeah, I agree with that one. I'm not throwing a good hat onto the ice, but it's cool when all the hats are on the ice.
Yeah, it's cool, but so when you go to the Wells Fargo Center and you see the area where they have the flyers, hat tricks, and all the hats are in the cases and stuff.
Yeah,
and I'm like, how many hats that were worth a damn are in there where someone was like, "Yo, we got to do it. We're here, man. We're here. I don't care if it's a $50 hat," and just throw it out there and just waste it.
Yeah. I would not throw my hat, but I do like it. What about the Gatorade bath?
Oh, I didn't think about that one. Now at the post game, I'm okay with it. Everybody's been hydrated. Everybody's good.
When do they do it not post game?
Huh? I'm saying if it's a blowout and it's 2 or 3 minutes left and someone does it. You never know. Brother might want to drink still. So I'm okay with that, but no, the Gatorade bath is all right.
Dude, if somebody poured Gatorade on me, I'd be so pissed.
Yeah, especially when it's cold out.
It's cold. Like if
Gatorade's
it's water,
sticky, it's got
water is
sugar in
one
it.
thing, but getting all sticky like that's that
Yeah,
dumb.
that's
Like I'd rather get the shaving cream pie than get the Gatorade bath.
Well, how about this? What about the mayo bath from the
What?
the bowl game? What bowl is that? Where they have it's a mayonnaise sponsor, and at the end of the game,
The Hellman's?
it's a tradition now. The coach gets mayo poured on them after the. You never saw this?
I'd lose that game on purpose.
Oh yeah. Oh no! No! I'm the opposite. I love mayo.
Yeah,
I
man.
would go ham on mayo. Oh my
All right,
god!
so listen, since you don't want to shave your whole body when the Magic finish ahead of the Sixers, you can do the mayo bath instead if you're interested.
Again, benefit analysis. Why do you want me to shave all my hair off my body?
No, I'm just saying you put it on the line.
Nah. First of all, that's your boys. They ain't going. They ain't beating nobody. The Magic.
They're only
right?
there will be a half game behind the Sixers after tonight. Just letting you know. Is there any other traditions?
Huh?
Any other traditions that you have?
Yeah, I got a couple. Again, I'm in a venting mood tonight, dude. So if I sound bitter, it's not me. It's just that I don't know why I'm just in that weird mood tonight. Probably from watching the Sixers Celtics game and knowing what's going to happen.
Diversa said, "Why the whole body?" I don't know, Diversa. That's what he said that he would do.
I don't remember saying that. I said my head. I don't remember saying my whole body. I think that was your imagination, and I don't even know why you're imagining that. Halftime shows during NBA games. I don't need to see, as much as I respect these people. All right, the red panda, whatever her name is, like throwing the plates up on her face while she's on the unicycle and all this stuff. I don't need to see that. There's the one guy at the games, the old dude. You know what I'm talking about? And he climbs up on the chairs, like 20 chairs in the air, and he's hanging up on there.
Some of that shit is all right.
Dude, I leave when he's out there. I don't stand there. I can't watch him because I'm not. You ain't catching me slipping when this guy falls down and dies, and it's like a tragedy. I'm not watching that. That guy's like 40 feet in the air on a hard court.
When I remember when Megan and we were in Punta Cana for our honeymoon, and we were watching. There was an acrobat show at the resort. And these guys were up in the air flipping and stuff. And all I was thinking about was what happens if one of these guys falls and breaks their neck. And I'm here watching it.
Yeah, I'm not. Yeah, I'm not. I don't like that stuff. I respect the hell out of it. I just don't. I'm always like, God forbid, I'm here for the time when someone messes up.
Yep.
I got two other ones I was thinking about. And I don't know why this one hit me all of a sudden, but you know the whole thing with the octopus in Detroit.
I thought about that. Yeah.
So. I looked up the story behind it, and it's not just the Red Wings, but apparently, like it's also been done during a Tigers game in '87. It was the last day of the regular season, and someone threw an octopus. First of all, where are these people getting octopuses from in Detroit or octopi? Is it octopi?
Yeah, it's got to be. It's not octopuses.
Or I won't say the other one, the other word I'm saying, but like. They threw it on the field during the 7th inning, and they beat the Blue Jays 1-0 and clinched the American League East Division. And then, like, all these other times, they've done it for, like, good luck. But I'm like, bro, who's bringing the octopus? And where are you putting the octopus? He's waiting for this moment.
Maybe it's one of those things where, like, you know, when they give out free T-shirts, maybe it's like sitting under your seat when you get to the stadium.
Oh, my God. I don't, dude. See, like, urchins and all kind of, like, I don't even like eating octopus. Like we had from one of the restaurants by us, we had a couple summers ago. I tried it, and like calamari is different because it's fried and it looks like onion rings, and you don't even think about it being squid. But the octopus, when it has the tentacles, and you can still see the tentacles.
Yeah,
I nah.
You're going outside my spectrum. Yeah, I'm out on the octopus. What else you got?
And the other one I was thinking about was, and you're not gonna like this one probably, but it's 2024. Enough with the gentleman's game with having to be dead silent during golf and tennis. If you're a pro athlete, play through the damn sound. All right. If you cheer or you boo, who cares? Do your thing, lock in. You don't see like the NBA being like, all right, guys, everybody shooting a free throw. Really, any jump shot at all, you need to focus. So nobody can do anything, cheer, boo, whatever. Or Pat Mahomes throwing a pass in the red zone. Like no other sport. you have to like lock in the silence so that the competitor can concentrate, except for these old ass games. Play the game, do your job. Don't bother to care or think about what I'm doing in the crowd. Do what you got to do.
No, I agree with you. I mean, Liv has started to do some of that stuff with the music, and it doesn't seem natural at this point, but I think if over time it may grow into it. I agree. I mean, listen, when I put on the golf course, people can be talking all they want in my backswing. I don't mind the noise. I do think it's something that'll eventually grow over time.
Yeah, and golf is hard, and tennis is hard, whether people are cheering or booing. Like me booing or cheering when you hit a golf shot, is it making it easier or harder on you? It's hard as it is.
Right.
Like you got to lock in and focus 1,000% no matter what's going on. So for me, it's kind of like I think there'd be more fans if you could do the booing and the cheering. Now, I'm not saying that you can do whatever you want out there because golf, especially, is a more intimate game. You got people that are on the course with you and all that kind of stuff. So there's a limit.
Right.
But
it's almost like there's 18 different games going on at once, depending on how many people are on the course.
Yeah. So you can't get too nuts and I'm not even saying like chant things and all that kind of like be ignorant. I'm just saying if you want to boo a guy or cheer a guy or whatever, like hype the guy up, you should be able to, or the woman up, you should be able to do that.
I'm with you. I got no problem with that.
So yeah, that's what I got. I mean, and I'm sure there's other ones that we could think of. Hopefully, maybe even some people that are listening could write to us on our social media and let us know ideas or examples that they have that we're missing. Because I feel like we're missing some, but
sports traditions that are outdated. Let us know. Let us know what you think. But if you don't have anything else, I want to jump into segment 3, which was a really good idea brought up by you earlier today. And it has to do with, obviously, what happened on this past weekend with Doc Rivers returning to Philadelphia to take advantage of the undermanned Sixers. But we wanted to talk about some returns to Philadelphia, both good and bad, but some infamous players that had come back in due time. Is that kind of where you were going with it?
Yeah.
Okay. So I guess I'll start with one, and I'll go with the low hanging fruit. Although it's not necessarily the best one, but the easiest one to bring up is Ben Simmons, and he didn't even play.
No. So I was there for that. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, obviously Ben Simmons returns to Philadelphia after basically quitting on the basketball team, after costing them a series that was their best opportunity to win and get out of the second round against the Atlanta Hawks. He comes back to Philadelphia, sits on the bench for the entire game. The entire city of Philadelphia is fired up. They are chanting profanities at Ben Simmons profusely, booing him at every site. And then in typical Sixers fashion, they go out and get their dicks knocked off by the Brooklyn Nets, basically taking the entire air out of the balloon the entire night. But I don't know how you can talk about players coming back without at least starting with Ben Simmons and that return.
So it was a wild night down there that night. I still have my wanted Ben Simmons T-shirt that I bought off of one of the vendors outside, and it says everything. They accuse him on the shirt of everything from like kidnapping to starting the riot at the Capitol to everything they put on his shoulders. But you know what? In hindsight, I respect him for showing up to the bench, because we got a star on our team that doesn't do that all the time. Even at home, you don't even show up to so many games. So I know it took him a while to do it. It wasn't like it was the first game and then he did it, but to get over it and finally say, you know what, I got to own this and come out there. Not only did he come out, if you remember, he had that bright ass Versace hockey jersey, if I'm not mistaken, that bright yellow hockey jersey he was wearing that night to draw all the attention to himself. And as someone, like I said, I was there, so there were things I saw that weren't maybe shown on the TV, but I remember there were different points of the game before and during halftime and even after the game where he went up to front row folks like M. Night Shyamalan and Mr. Horowitz and other guys that he knows from the front, and reached out to them. Other guys he crossed over at halftime to the Sixers bench to say things to some of the trainers and a couple of the bench guys. And I remember sitting there like, you know what? I got to be honest. Like I respect that. He's owning it right now. He was probably feeling better about it because his team was winning. But I respect that. But in terms of like the damage that was done, oh my God, from that whole situation. I mean, it's weird that he still semi rides for Philly though.
He's just
if you've
saying
heard his, I don't know if it's
he's
real or
so
not.
fake.
That's what I'm saying. We don't know if it's genuine or not, but like he'll say like he still has friends here and he didn't close the chapter on ever playing here again and all this kind of stuff. And it's like, dude,
The book's
like
closed. The book's closed.
oh,
Not
I
the
know. I'm
chapter.
saying
The
on
book's-
his thing. I'm saying at least. I'm
Yeah, I
like,
know.
bro, like you just saw how this place feels about you. Like,
Yeah.
what are you talking about?
And they still
So-
booed him the other night when he was here. He
Yeah.
still got it bad.
Yeah.
Just out of random, it's now been 2 years basically to the day of the James Harden trade. How many games of 10 plus points for Ben Simmons in 2 years for the Brooklyn Nets?
2 years from when we got Harden, you're saying.
Yeah. It was just about 2 years because it was right around this time 2 years ago.
And how many games of what?
How many games in 2 years has Ben Simmons scored 10 points or more for the Brooklyn Nets?
I'd say like 4.
No, more than that. 17.
Okay. And what
17.
was it, like 11 points?
What'd you say?
What was it, like 11?
No, I think he had 21 game. He had a couple nice games, but he has only played 57 total games. So,
So
averaging. What'd you say?
There's a lot of heat in Brooklyn right now. So Jacques Vaughn, I don't know if you've been following this or not. So Jacques Vaughn got fired right during the
Yep.
All-Star break, and the word on the street is the players didn't like Vaughn's offense. And he gave in the beginning a chance for Ben to run the offense like you did here. Obviously, it didn't work out. It didn't look right. It looked clunky, and he quickly made the adjustment to nip that in the bud and stop it. And the players, including Ben, were like, "Well, we don't know where this guy fits. His strength is ball handling and pushing the ball, and if he's not doing that, it makes our offense. It hinders our offense." So between winning and losing, and then also that whole thing in the locker room, the guy got fired. So now they want to have their offense really geared around this guy, to see if he has what it takes to bring back that success that he had. And listen, no one else deserves more credit in this. I never thought I'd say it, but maybe Brett Brown got the most out of Ben Simmons than anybody ever will.
Yeah, he definitely did. Ben Simmons is done. He's done. It's over.
But is that my point in saying that is that because of, I think it's a little bit of both, but because of Ben and his personality and his lack of drive at this point, but also maybe the coaching by Brett. And we know he's a teacher by trade. He's a teacher, and that's his strength. Maybe we gave him a bad rap for a couple things, including Ben Simmons' development.
I was always a Brett guy, you know that, and it was time for him to go when he went after but that was the bubble year and everything was weird happening. I thought Brett did a good job when he was here. I really did. So
I mean, he was okay. He was okay, but I think that
he was better than the guy they brought in after.
Well, yeah, I will say that. That is true. That is true.
Well, hit me with another one. Hit me with another comeback.
I mean, dude, the comebacks. So the other one I have, let me just double check my notes here because I had some up top, then I was thinking about others I wrote down. Oh, the AI return.
I forgot about the AI return.
Yeah, when Iverson came back with Denver and it was all dramatic, came back, kissed half court and all that kind of stuff. That was awesome. That was really cool. And I love Iverson to death, man. Like, he is Philadelphia. Philadelphia is him. And it was cool that even though he wasn't a Sixer at the time, he still recognized that and embraced it. People forget he came back to the Sixers.
Yeah, that was weird. I'm going to pull. How many games do you think Iverson came back for? Pull it up.
Man, I forget. I remember they had them Foreman Mills jerseys, though, that I hated. I hated those uniforms. Was that 2012 or whatever year that was?
No, it was 09-10.
09? Was it that,
Yeah,
was that early? I thought it was after that.
No, because I mean the 12 team was the trust the process, or not trust the process. That was the show your love team. Drew Holiday and Lou Williams and those
Yeah,
guys.
it's true. Yeah. I mean,
He played 20. He played 25 games for us.
Oh, 25. I was gonna say like 40.
Yeah, averaged 14 points per game.
Speaking of
The amazing thing about Iverson, when you look back, and I know we talked about this before, is just the minutes played. Like he was averaging during the regular season 43, 44 minutes a night.
and that's when it was a rough NBA.
Yeah.
He was getting beat up, literally.
In the I mean, they only played 5. I'm not even going to say it. In the 2000-2001 playoffs, when they went to the finals, they played 22 games. He averaged 46.2 minutes per game.
Yeah. And people forget, I mean, he had a sneaky, really good year in like, what was it, 05 or 06?
I mean, he won a couple scoring titles.
The 05, 06 year, I think it was, one of his last years here. He was actually really good.
05, 06, he averaged 33 points per game. Did not win the scoring title that year. That may have been Kobe. The year before that, he won the scoring title at 30.7. Listen, he could always score. It's just a matter of just like it was like Andy Reid. Like the act was old.
And he had no help. I mean, those guys.
He had no help. They burnt him out. They built the right team around him in 2000, 2001. He just needed to be a lone wolf scoring wise and give me 4 guys who could play defense, and we're fine just giving me the ball.
Yeah, for sure.
And then they kept trying to find, Harpring and Weber and Van Horn and Big Dog Robinson and all these guys to supplement him. It just never worked.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to go with a positive one as well. I'm going to go Chase Utley.
Oh, now, glad you brought that one up because I got that one too.
So the Chase Utley one, listen, we talked and we've bashed the Sixers a ton on this podcast tonight. Chase Utley may have been a little overrated by the Philadelphia fans for his on-the-field performance. However, you want to talk about a guy who reeked of winner. That guy made plays. Winning mentality. He made plays when it matters. He tortured the Mets, dude. Tortured the Mets. He would stand in there and get hit by pitches. He played hard. He obviously made the big play in the World Series on the backhand, throwing the ball home.
Utley corner in right field at Citi Field.
Yep. And he just made plays when it matters most. And if in 2016, when he came back to Citizens Bank Park, not only does he get a 1.5-minute ovation, but he hits 2 home runs, including a grand slam, and gets a standing ovation, which he deserved because it didn't matter what the Phillies were doing. The Phillies sucked at that point in time, and it was finally something for the Philadelphia fans to cheer for, and I was fine with it. I can tell you're shaking your head, and you got an issue with it.
You're wrong. You're wrong for that.
I don't know.
Because he was not a Philly. He was a Dodger at the time. I don't care what the Phillies were doing. All right, whether they were good or not. He's not a Philly, and it was embarrassing. That was embarrassing.
You know what? It was embarrassing. The product that organization put on the field for 10 years. If that happens this year coming up, and Chase Utley hits 2 homers, Chase Utley gets the standing ovation when he steps in the ballpark, and he doesn't get cheered after that because the Phillies are a competitive team. We'd been watching trash for 5 years at that point. Like we had nothing. Who are you rooting for? Jared Eichhoff? Like fuck, these guys were looking for something to cheer at that point.
Listen, man, why and you know the answer, but why does this guy, and I was a big Utley fan, so this is not me being a hater, but this guy came in here as a visiting player, got this whole the ovation and all this stuff. And then when other guys that were also on that champion team, that were also winners, Jason Worth, Jimmy Rollins, these guys, they got booed. They got nothing close to what Utley got. What does Utley have over these people?
So listen,
what does he have over us?
The Jason Worth one is not a good comparison because Jason Worth,
he left for the money and all that stuff.
He left for the money and he went to a division rival, so that doesn't count. I think Cole Hamels got not the same ovation, but he got a great ovation. And Jimmy got a great one. It just wasn't the same.
I'm saying when he did something on the field with another team, they didn't sit there and be like, "Oh, that's awesome, man, great!" Like they did with Utley. I
want to stop. I'm sorry, I got captivated by my TV here. Max Strus hit a 75-foot shot to win the game. So that was just crazy. Sorry. Listen, Chase is always going to be beloved because of the way he played. Like that's the way it is. He's
But what did Jimmy play like a stiff?
no. Jimmy got a great ovation too, and
Worth? Like,
I
what guy?
preferred Jimmy over Chase because I think he was the leader of that team. Chase's style of play resonates more with the Philadelphia fans, and I really don't think it's a race thing. I really don't. I just think it was the way he played, the way he stood in there and got hit by pitches, the way he would. You remember he took out the guy who was playing for the Dodgers. He took out the Mets
Yeah.
shortstop and broke his leg. Like Philadelphia fans like that style of play, and that's what he was. So I think that's why he's so revered in the city.
I mean, Jimmy was flashy. Jimmy was a
Jimmy
little
was
bit
flashy.
Hollywood.
Jimmy was a little cocky.
And he had that comment where he said that, the Philly fans were bandwagons. You remember that?
I forgot about that.
But still, the guy backed it up. Everything he ever said, he backed up. And he still loves, I mean, to this day, he talks about the Phillies, like, my Phillies and this and that when he's on MLB Network and all that. Like, he's a Philly. And I just feel like
all-time franchise leader in hits.
Yeah. And he should be a Hall of Famer.
I hope he is.
I just, I always, that's one thing that just always frustrates me with the whole situation with those guys was how I just feel like, and he was a great player, no doubt, but Utley I felt like he just got more of the benefit of the doubt all the time and the love all the time, even more than all the other guys. And
he's the poster boy for that team, for that group. All right, hit me with another one.
The other one I had too was, and this one, now looking back now, is sad. But I remember Kobe at the 0-2 All-Star game. When he came back and the All-Star game was here at Wells Fargo Center, and I believe he won MVP of the game. In fact, I know he won MVP of the game, and he got booed. And I remember seeing his face up there, and even I don't know if it was Jim Gray or whoever it was that was talking to him after the game on the court when it all went down. But you could see the hurt in his face. And, we had came off of the final situation the year before or the season before, and he had said the stuff about like, well, I grew up in Italy, I didn't grow up in Philly and all this kind of stuff, and that rubbed people the wrong way. But he's a showman, and he knows that wasn't the case. He was doing it for the situation, playing up to the whole, the stage. And I think he realized it in that moment, though, that it was too much.
Yeah,
I think that, again, if you watch that, you could probably find it on social media or YouTube somewhere where that moment. But like, I remember vividly and being like, man, he screwed up. And
but in that moment, it is a great opportunity. It's like we were 17.
Yeah.
How did you feel in the moment? How did you feel about Kobe?
I felt empty because I felt like I got the fans' perspective. I understood where they were coming from, and I got it. Not saying they were wrong by booing him, but from a human perspective, I was like, oh man, that kind of sucks. And now as an adult, even with more empathy, and I'm already empathetic to a fault, it just makes me sad. And obviously knowing what happened to him anyway at the end, but like it's just. I just put myself in those shoes, and you grow up here and you win an All-Star Game MVP, and you can't even remember it for the positive because you were booed basically out the building.
I don't see him. He just never identified as a Philly guy, and I still when people
he did
about
afterwards. After his career, he did.
But like even now, when people say like who are the best athletes from Philadelphia, he doesn't pop to mind first because I just don't identify him as that.
Oh, I disagree with that.
Agree to disagree.
I disagree with that. But he did embrace the city a lot after the fact. Which if you think about it, professionally, that's probably the right thing to do. Because if you were a Laker fan or you lived in LA and this guy was always here doing Philly this, Philly that, you might feel some kind of way. Like even right now with like Micah Parsons, when he does stuff here, and Dallas fans are like, yo, what is this guy? What's this? Like, it's a little bit weird sometimes. I understand it, but it's cool because it's one of our guys that was from here, and he, so when he wears his Eagle jersey and wore his Eagle jersey and he comes and talks to the Eagles, and he talks about how much he's an Eagle fan since he was a kid and this and that. That was awesome. But I just always remember that moment when he won that MVP, and it was just like hollow, and it was just a weird, somber thing.
All right, I'm going to go back to the same year that you did, 2002, and I did a little research today. And I forgot how ugly it actually got with Eric Lindros, and
his daddy,
and Bobby Clark, and all the stuff that they had gone through. So here's the crazy thing about Lindros, and again, this is I won't say before our time. That's not necessarily true, but how old do you think Eric Lindros was when he won MVP of the league?
That was what, 95?
I'm just asking how old you think he was.
He probably was what, 24?
He was 21.
Was he 21? That was it?
21 when he won MVP. He scored 41 goals as a 19-year-old. they had this dude who could have been the next
dude.
Huh?
He was a bull.
He was a bull. He was strong, and he just couldn't stay healthy. And then there was this rift between him and Bobby Clark about concussions and injuries, and the training staff misdiagnosing a lot of things between him.
Bobby was from the old school.
Bobby was old school. And I mean, listen, Lindros' injuries were concussions, which nowadays you can't even.
Oh yeah, that would have never happened now.
No, couldn't
have never left, because he would have been understood that that's what he had, and they would have took care of it.
There was a situation I was reading on his Wikipedia today. Apparently, he had a collapsed lung.
Right, I remember that, and he almost died.
Yeah, so I forget. I think it was
Leclerc. I think it was.
It was Leclerc. Found him in the tub, and and the Flyers basically are like, okay, we'll fly him home. And Leclerc was like, I don't think so. He needs to go to the hospital. And if he would have flown home, he could have very well died.
Yeah,
and that really was the tipping point in the relationship between the two teams. He ends up getting traded to New York. Actually, I forgot he sat out an entire season for the Flyers. He wouldn't play.
Yeah,
I forgot about that. Gets traded to the Rangers, gets booed like crazy when he comes back. Nothing necessarily great happened, but I forgot, like, dude, at that age, being as good as he was, like, he could have been like a multiple-time Stanley Cup winner if things worked out right.
And how much of a villain was Scott Stevens? Scott Stevens laid the dagger in that final, and that was a game 7 at mid ice. Boom.
And he hadn't. I forgot about this. He hadn't played that entire playoffs. He came back in game 6 because he had a concussion issue. And
I remember he had that. So I remember in '97 when we went to the Cup and we played the Rangers in the finals, who had Gretzky at the time.
Yep.
And it was game, I want to say 4, when he scored the goal late, like 10 seconds left in the third period to win the game. And I'm thinking, like, again, we were kids, and I'm like, this is the guy. Like, this is going to be the year. And that was back when we didn't win anything yet. We hadn't won the World Series, Super Bowl, and nothing like that for years. We never saw one. Right. And I thought that was it. And then, of course, we beat them, but then Detroit just is a world beater, that team. But if you think about it, man, like, Lindros might go down. They need a documentary about Lindros, because as great as he was, his story off the ice with that whole thing you just talked about was very appealing to a lot. It would be a very appealing documentary. And you could argue there hasn't been someone like him since, with the skill set that he had, the size that he had, the speed that he had, all combined. I mean, you could say like the McDavids of the world, Austin Matthews maybe, but like, I don't even know if they were like you said, this guy scored 40 goals as a 19-year-old kid.
Right. And he was just, I mean, again, hockey's a different game at this point in time, but he was just, you said, strong as hell. He's so big.
Yeah, big dude. That was a fun fun time.
Oh, that's when I was a hockey guy.
Yeah, that was a fun time. That was when we were throwing that net over the fence at the Y every Saturday.
Yeah, I actually had I'll talk to you off the air about a new segment 3 coming up. I had an idea for, but hit me with another one. I got 3 left.
Oh, well, dude, at this point, that's all I had written down. I'm going off the cuff.
Okay. Let me throw mine
at you. Go ahead.
I mean, these two will tie together. You have T.O.
Yeah.
Coming back from Dallas, obviously. didn't have a great game. 3 catches, 45 yards. Eagles win that game on a late pick six, but the crowd was going nuts for T.O. after he basically turned on the Eagles. And hand in hand with that, it's Donovan McNabb.
Yeah.
In 2010, McNabb actually gets the positive.
He won the game, right?
No, the McNabb won.
That's what I'm saying. He
Eagles,
won.
yeah, Eagles lost that game. It was like
He
7.
didn't do anything.
No, he didn't play well.
No.
I mean, he didn't play well once we got rid of him at all. And this is crazy. Like, he did get a standing ovation, which he deserved. But he's such a divisive player when you look back on it. There's so many Philadelphia, for being the best quarterback in franchise history.
Yeah.
So many people dislike him.
He is. So before our time when Mike Schmidt was the Phillies franchise, but OGs will tell you that there was a period of time where people booed Mike Schmidt. And for us, that's hard to imagine because everything we always see with him is this like baseball god, the best third baseman of all time. But there was a time where he got booed. So, McNabb's going to go in that ilk where like even now and going forward in history, he is, until someone dethrones him, the best Eagles quarterback of all time. But there's going to be OGs that are going to be like, yeah, but he always threw the ball into the ground, and that's why he never threw interceptions, because he never took chances and this and that. I like the guy.
I was a McNabb guy too. I am. And the last one I have is the little bit of an asterisk on it, but JD Drew.
Yeah, I try to forget that whole thing happened, to be honest with you.
So again, I did do a little bit of research again. This is 97, so it's like we're 12 years old. But I was reading when he got drafted, there were comparisons to Mickey Mantle being
well, there was a Mickey Moniak too, wasn't it?
I don't know about that level. JD Drew's college stats.
No, Steve Finley was the big comparison with
It's a little different.
Yeah, a little bit different. Yeah.
JD Drew at Florida State in 67 games hit 455 with 31 homers and 32 steals. And basically, obviously gets drafted by the Phillies, number 2 overall. I'll give you $50. You tell me who goes number 1.
It was, what year was it? 97?
I think it was 97. Yeah.
Is it a made guy or is it a dud?
Like, it's a guy who played in the major leagues but never lived up to the hype of number. Who
was it? Bud Smith?
No, good try. It was Chris Benson.
Oh wow,
Pirate.
I forgot all about it. He was a Met too, I think, at one point, wasn't he?
Maybe Pirates who drafted him.
Yeah.
JD Drew.
He had some success though at times. He was okay.
Yeah, he was okay. JD Drew basically says he wants $10 million, I think it was.
Which was like $30 million now.
Yeah. And the Phillies were basically like, we'll draft him anyway. They draft him. JD Drew holds out, never plays for the Phillies. Ends up getting drafted the next year by the Cardinals. Comes to Philadelphia, gets batteries thrown at him while he's in right field. To live up to the Philadelphia reputation.
He had a nice career, though. He was okay.
Had a nice career, but he didn't live up to the hype.
Yeah, no, he wasn't making it. In fact, did he ever go to an All-Star game?
I think I was looking at this morning. I think he had one All-Star game appearance. Let me take a look.
Yeah, I mean,
he had one really good season in Atlanta. He was a one-time All-Star for Boston, but did have one. He was 6th in MVP in 2004 in Atlanta. That was his best year. He had 305 with 31 homers.
So he wasn't on the Red Sox team that won the World Series.
He was not on that team, no.
Okay.
He was on Boston from 07 to 11. Oh, so yeah, he was on the. He wasn't
on the 04 team. I'm saying
correct. He was on the second Boston team that won the World Series, the one that beat the Rockies. But yeah, those are all I had. I mean, you have some other ones, the Scott Rowlands, Jimmy Rollins, but they were just not as eventful as some of those other ones.
Well, I will say this to close out my 2 cents here for this segment. What I want to happen, and maybe we can get this started, is we need to have Santa come back. I don't care what game it is. It could be the Union, the Phillies, Sixers. I don't care. Have him come back, and we all give him a standing ovation.
You want to give Santa the standing O?
Yeah, and we scrub this clean. We get these national talking heads to shut up and stop talking about it. We give the guy a standing ovation, the whole thing, and move on with our lives. Because that's my biggest pet peeve probably at all in sports is when I hear, "Oh, they booed Santa Claus, Tom." Oh, you been like
I
that
feel like
was.
it's faded a little bit.
I don't know. Nationally, I don't know.
Okay.
Especially during Christmas time, at the Eagles are getting booed. They love bringing that up when the Eagles are getting booed around Christmas. They booed Santa Claus. If we just bring him out and just go nuts, just Santa.
We gotta send the idea out.
Yeah, I think we should do. We need to that's more important than the Trey Turner ovation. That's a generational thing.
Listen, I hear you. We got to send it to Jeffrey Lurie. I think it's got to be the Eagles game.
That's fine.
Yeah,
that's fine.
All right, we'll send it to Jeffrey.
Maybe we
Lurie.
do it during the World Cup.
That'll be the ultimate
during the summertime.
That'll be the ultimate Philly comeback. Is if we can redeem Santa Claus. All right, that was all we have for tonight. Chris, anything else before we wrap it up?
Nah, man, I'm all good. I'm all good. February, finally, Dog Days February coming to a close. Next time we talk to everybody, it'll be March. Be a step closer to spring.
March Madness right around the corner.
Yep, March Madness, some more baseball action, and maybe a day closer to seeing Joel Embiid one more time with the Sixers.
Knock on wood. All right, but until then, let's drop that beat.